Joining us now, running for governor, he's a Republican. He tells the truth, I'll tell you that. No gibberish going on with him. State Senator Frank Wagner, Republican, Virginia Beach, one of three candidates running for governor on the Republican side, will be decided in a Republican primary on June 13th. The three candidates are Senator Frank Wagner, businessman Ed Gillespie, and Chairman of the Prince William County Board of Supervisors, Corey Stewart. Senator Wagner, good to have you, man.
Good morning, John. How you doing?
I'm fired up today. And
no, you ate gunpowder this morning.
Well, I tell you what, I'm on a mission here for the truth. And one thing that you've done, Senator, in this campaign is you have been very candid with your positions, and you've not pulled any punches with anything, regardless of how that might affect your campaign one way or the other. And I think we need more of that. So give us an update about what you're seeing on the campaign trail. And look, I mean, everybody's got you as a big underdog here. Legitimately, Senator, how do you turn the corner and get back in this race?
John, I'm not sure we've already turned the corner. Everybody's saying you're a big underdog. The only poll that everybody's referring to was done the 28th of March. Nobody's done a poll since. And let me tell you, since that debate, when a whole lot of Virginians got an opportunity to look at all three candidates, the whole dynamic of the campaign has changed. I mean, people are lining up. I've had many Gillespie supporters say, I was going to support Gillespie. Now I'm going to support you. I think more and more of, speaking of truth, when Gillespie comes out and says the average family is going to get back $1,300, well, that's if the average family made an adjusted gross income of over $200,000 a year, which is not your average family in Virginia. When they understand that he's coming out and saying, these kind of things, which are totally misleading. You just did a diatribe on the Washington Post, misleading, slanting the facts, and trying to message something to go get Trump. I mean, this guy's slanting the facts and misleading the folks and trying to convince them that, they're going to get all these goodies when, first of all, his numbers don't add. And anybody who's done the numbers knows that. I think you've done them too, John. What's wrong with being honest? Where did that go by the wayside? And at the Naval Academy, honesty was drilled into me. And then as a Navy diver, you were honest or people died. We had no margin for error in what we did diving. And, you wonder, where has that gone by the wayside? Mm-hmm. Why can't you be straightforward and honest with people and tell them the facts of what's going on and tell them what you think your solutions are to rebuild the economy here in Virginia and to transform the economy in Virginia? I mean, Gillespie's running around saying, well, my tax plan, which would give the average family $1,300, first of all, is a total misleading when the average income in Virginia, according to Census Bureau, is $66,000. And second of all, it's going to create 53,000 jobs. Now, you tell me how that is going to create 53,000 jobs. Now, I can see at the federal level when you reduce corporate income taxes and you allow all these corporations to bring that overseas money home, yeah, that's going to have an impact on the economy. But putting $50 or $60 back in some guy's pocket, or maybe even $100, is not going to create 53,000 jobs. What I present to people is, if you follow mine, if we make strategic infrastructure investments in infrastructure that's needed if a business expects to expand or locate, if you think that's a better way to do the job, then I've laid out a plan that makes sense. And listen, I've talked to businesses all over the state, and it's a common problem. I cannot find qualified people to fill the job. We could stimulate the economy by just having enough people with technical educations to fill these jobs. And you know what? More and more college graduates that are sitting on $30,000, $40,000 in student loans are now going back to get that technical education because they can't find a job with their college degree. Mm-hmm. And my nephew's a classic example. He went through 4 years of ODU. My brother calls me up and says, can you help him find a job? And I told my brother, what do I look like, a job placement agency? But you know what? We got him the job, and he started at Newport News Apprentice School. Now he's in his fourth year at Newport News Apprentice School, learned a technical trade. He's going to make a fine living. It's one of those things you ask yourself, what can we do to turn the economy around in Virginia? Right. What can we do to diversify the economy? We have got to diversify this economy. We're far too dependent on federal dollar spending. And I believe that if we make strategic transportation investments, we make strategic investments and encourage our private partner friends to join us in expanding broadband throughout the state, and we ensure that we get back to career technical education as a means to school accreditation, in the 6th, 7th grade, that we're going to see these kind of, if you will, fertile ground planted, that we're going to see this economic diversity, we're going to see this economic prosperity, and all areas of the state enjoying an economic uplift.
Right.
And if you believe in that, I'm your candidate. Then I tell folks this, John. I say, look, honestly, everybody listening that votes is a shareholder of Virginia. So read the resumes and honestly ask yourself, who would you call in first for an interview? The lobbyist who made millions of dollars lobbying in Washington, D.C., and albeit worked in the White House a little bit, worked on Capitol Hill, but made millions of dollars peddling influence in Washington, D.C. That's Ed Gillespie. Or Corey Stewart, who's a lawyer. You've had a chance to see Corey in action. And he's a Prince William County Board of Supervisors.
What was the deal?
Both of them claim they're businessmen, or a businessman who actually started a business, grew it to 100 employees, wore a hard hat all his life, bought another business with 25, built it to 140. I'm the only one of the 3 candidates that served in the military with 800,000 plus veterans in the state. I'm the only one that has any experience in Richmond that really knows what's going on. So,
right.
I ask people honestly, read the resumes and honestly ask yourself, who would you call in first for an interview?
All right. Well, let me ask you this, Senator Wagner. Yesterday, Corey Stewart puts this big announcement out. I mean, talk about fake news. You know what? I got sucked into this thing for the last time. He puts this big announcement out, and then there's a rumor going around he's going to drop out of the race. It's on Facebook Live. I mean, I got a million things going on in my life at 7 p.m. I don't know about other people, but I got a family, and I got things to do. Baseball, start sponsor time with my son. I tune this thing on. 20 minutes go by. I waste out of my life that I'll never get back. And then the announcement is something he could have done in an email. You know what? That to me is, I hope you'll never do that. I mean, you have something to say, just come out and say it and say, look, I'm going to hold a press conference like you've done. But this innuendo and there's this announcement and it's special, it's secret, and then it turns out to be nothing. I mean, what the hell's the deal with that?
Look, you're asking me to ask Corey. I mean, I've been around him now for 4 or 5 months during this campaign. I still haven't got him figured out. So I'll leave that up to the other people to decide. I suspect that many people walked away with the same disgusted reaction that you just did last night. So
I don't like to be played, okay? I mean, nobody in my business likes to be played. And I felt that we were played last night. And I think it's going to backfire on him because, you have something to say, look, I'm holding a press conference. This is the topic. I mean, you have held several press conferences. I get a press release from Vicky who says Frank Wagner is holding a press conference at this time, at this place with these people. And the subject is, and you either attend or not. And then you get a recap of it. I mean, that's a press conference. But the secret,
and you're
announcement.
Going to get another one here soon. It's going to say we're going to have another press conference. We're going to talk about career technical education.
I mean, just tell the truth. Don't give me a lie to get me to tune in your Facebook Live thing. Wait 20 minutes. You say you're going to come out at 7. You come out at 7:25. I mean, I got things to do. Just not my deal.
Why isn't the Gillespie campaign telling the truth? They know their numbers don't work. They know that the average family, as he claims, is going to get 13. They know that.
Well, when I question,
they absolutely anybody who can work simple algebra can figure this one out. And knows it's a bold-faced lie. And you talk about misleading people. I mean, Corey's a little gambit, little fun and games. I understand you're upset, but your people should be much broader upset that somebody who claims he's going to be the most ethical governor ever. His first big campaign statement is a total lie. I mean, saying the average family will get back this much money is a total lie. I mean, if you're going to start off being the most ethical governor, it seems to me you're on a pretty wrong footing.
Well, he defended it on my show by saying that the $1,300 was the total amount of disposable income that people would have if all of his economic policies got into play, that it's just not tax cuts, but other business things. When it was all said and done, average family would get $1,300. So then,
John, he says average family get back $1,300 with his tax cut. That would mean the average family to get back $1,300 would have to make $214,000 a year after deductions on their income tax. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. So when you're caught in a lie, what do? The first thing you should do is admit, hey, I was wrong. We didn't work the numbers, and I'll correct myself. No, he didn't choose that path. What he chose to do is muck it up with more Washington. Guys inside the Beltway expert. Let's just cloud it with a whole lot of other stuff, and hope it goes away.
No, I get it.
And I'm sitting there going, this is, he wants to bring. If you read this last policy statement, he wants to bring the D.C. thoughts and ideas. This big consultant thing he wants to have and all this other stuff. This is programs that consultants have put together in D.C. And ask yourself, what good has it done for the federal government? And I'm sitting there going, wait a minute. Mm-hmm. First of all, you're ignoring. We're not a bad managed state. We get pretty high marks all the time. Are there things that need to be tweaked? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, there are things that need to be tweaked. I mean, the latest announcement was, well, we're not going to lay anybody off, but we're going to get rid of 1,000 state employees. I'm going, really? Okay, so if 50 prison guards leave, and they leave routinely, we're just not going to replace them. We're just not going to replace 50 prison guards. We'll just let the inmates, run wild. It's the most ill-conceived, ill-thought-out, typical Washington logic that should concern every voter out there when he comes out with these statements without putting any thought. And what it clearly shows is he doesn't, nor does anybody on his staff even begin to understand what's going on in Richmond. Now, of the 110,000 or so state employees we have, which you may or may not know, is 57,000 of them work for our state colleges and universities. Mm-hmm. That's by far and away the biggest chunk of state employees. Mm-hmm. Now, you put my tuition cap into place, where we're going to cap tuitions with a stroke of a pen at the governor's mansion, you're going to get your employee cuts, because these universities are going to have to figure out a way to make ends meet with the money they got. And you're going to get these employee cuts, but you're not going to go in and willy-nilly. Universities will figure out how to run themselves, just like we have to figure out how to run our families every day. Mm-hmm. It's the most ill-conceived. His plan is unbelievable, and it starts off with the big lie. And I'm sitting there going, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. Anybody can work this math and say that. Look, I've tried to be honest, John, as you know, and I'm being honest. And let me tell you something, John. It's working. People are coming over to me. I just gave a little speech in Chesterfield County Saturday morning, and I'm all over the state. He's gone into hiding, by the way, Gillespie. But I haven't seen him anywhere. I haven't seen Corey, for that matter. But I'm everywhere. Gillespie's turned down every joint appearance. Now, why would you turn down a joint appearance? If you thought your plans and you thought your ideas were superior to your opponents, wouldn't you show up everywhere to mark them off?
Well, he's got the lead, so you
know.
Well,
he thinks he has the lead. Who's done a poll? Who's done a poll since March 28th?
Yeah, but now he's spending all this money on TV. You're not going to be able to match that.
Oh, have you seen it? Have you seen it? I saw his ad once, and that's only because it was online, and I looked at it.
Come on, Frank.
Okay.
It's because you're not watching TV, Frank.
What's that?
That's because you're traveling around the state. You're not watching TV. You're not watching like Channel 5 in the middle of the day, right? You're out campaigning.
Well, I got a nice full day today in Northern Virginia and Richmond. I might get to sleep in my own bed tonight, so I'm looking forward to that. But listen, John, I've laid out a real positive plan. You can go online. I encourage everybody to go to frankwagner.us. It's amazing the amount of people volunteering right now. It's just amazing the shift that you see. And there's a lot of other things we're doing. There's a lot of other places we're going without turning over too many cards. And let's see, if you live and die by polls, John, there wouldn't be a David Brat congressman.
Every candidate that I've endorsed was behind in the polls. Dave Brat, Scott Taylor, Donald Trump. I mean, you name it. So, I mean, I agree with you on that. There was something I wanted to talk about and share with my listeners. You were in an article the other day, Washington Post, I believe, and you were talking about your special needs daughter, and you said something in it that really riveted me. You said you have a special needs daughter that not everybody knows. I do, certainly. And you play bingo with her once a week, and often that conflicts with your campaign schedule, and your daughter looks forward to it. And your staff said, no, you can't do that. You got to go in this campaign. And you said, no way. I'm going to spend time with my daughter. Senator, a lot of people have special needs children. And when you do, I mean, you just don't realize how much time they need. And I just wanted you to share that story with our audience.
John, I really don't like to share it, but you put me on the spot. So, yeah, my youngest daughter is a real blessing. She's the apple of my eye. She has some learning issues, and we put her through some special schools, and then the state operates a place called Woodrow Wilson Rehabilitation Institute. So she attended a 16-week independent living course up there and got some job training in the food service industry. So she works full-time, 40 hours a week. She works at the galley at Little Creek, and she cleans off tables and does dishes and performs a function. And she works with others that have disabilities. Some of them are deaf. Some all have different disabilities, and the Navy has a contract to provide these services in their galley with companies, nonprofits that employ these people. But she's the apple of my eye, just the sweetest child you'd ever want to meet, and I don't give a damn what I'm doing, anywhere, anytime. There's nothing more important than the time that I can spend with her. And, we were on a cruise one time years and years ago, and, cruise ships can get a little boring, at least for me. Mm-hmm. So I dragged her in one day because they always have bingo every afternoon. And so we dragged her in there, and I got her a bingo card, and I got myself one. Darn if she didn't win the first two games. Well, she's been begging and begging, and we get together at least once a week, and she's been begging and begging to play bingo. So I took her to a bingo place the other night, and had no idea it's a whole lot different than cruise ship bingo. These people are like professional bingo. I've never seen anything like it. You got 22 sheets. They rock and roll, and thank God we had some little ladies around us that helped me sort through this thing. I felt like the disabled person in there when they're trying to ring off numbers so fast, and I can't put my little blotter on them. But, she had a blast. But we try to do something. We go see movies. She has different places she likes to go. So, it's just a father-daughter day, and it's a chance for me to unwind and for her, for us to get together and do some things. But let me tell you what it does. It gives you. We have a big, huge appreciation for the many, many families out there that have disabled, many of them with Down syndrome and those types of things. And when you've been a legislator as long as I have, John, you have people come in your office and they're in tears, and their child has Down syndrome. Now, their child is 55 years old. The mother, typically it's the mother, the father's already passed away, is in her 80s, and she's going, what's going to happen to my child when I die? And that's a tough question. And you see, we have a responsibility as a society to take care of those people that take care of themselves. Can't take care of themselves, okay? Look, I have absolutely no use for people who try to abuse the system, who could take care of themselves but choose not to. We need to weed those out and get them out. But there are people out there who physically and financially cannot take care of themselves, and we have a responsibility. That's why I've been so heavy, and my daughter's not autistic, but I've been so heavy into the autism community. My wife, who you may or may not know, is on the Peninsula School for Autism Board. Prior to that, she was the executive director of Habitat for Humanity on the Peninsula. So, these are programs that are very meaningful, and it's easy to talk when you're cold-hearted, kind of thing. But until you've been in my situation and seen these families, then you realize that we've got to do better for these systems. And then when you start getting involved, you find out how much the federal government doesn't allow you to do what would be common sense to try to do.
Right.
There are people of means in the city of Virginia Beach who have children in this thing, and they have the same concerns that the 80-year-old mother with the Down syndrome. So what's going to happen when we're gone?
Right. No, you're right.
Can we find safe, independent living for them when we're not here?
People don't realize that.
They're willing to put money into it to build this facility, and you're saying, well, sure, but we'd like to include people who might be Medicaid eligible.
You got to be concerned about that if you have
the federal government won't let you put that.
You're right.
It's ridiculous. So I hope as Congress rolls through this, as they get the federal government out of our lives and just block Medicaid to us, and we're going to be able to do a lot better on behalf of our citizens of Virginia. But understand that's a real problem out there.
All right. Well, Senator, thanks.
A lot of families.
Thanks for sharing that story, because many families do deal with that. And, we do also. My daughter suffers from acute anorexia, and we've been, dealing with this a very long time, and it's a horrible and sad disease. My daughter, Claire Frank, what's your daughter's name?
This Tessa.
Tessa. All right. Hey, Senator, thanks for sharing that.
I think it's important for your listeners to know, look, there's a lot of families in this boat, and probably many people listening to your family. There's a role and a function that the state should play in assisting, particularly in the education mode, in the K through 12 mode, and then the long-term care of folks that fall into this boat, whether the people have means and can afford it, but in the best setting, and then get the federal government the hell out of the programs.
No, you're right.
And we can do a lot better job. So,
all right, Senator, I got to roll. Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks for sharing that, and certainly good luck to your daughter.